Growing up in a family of 11, this is the couch that my parents would corral us into in order to get a good picture, a good family picture. Their success was success is questionable. A couch can be a lot of things. This is a picture of the Ralph Lauren couch we call the boat, our family room couch. On it, we're spectators. We're watching a football game. It's also a great place to hide things or hide behind. This is my son looking for his Easter basket, and yes, we still do this even though they're adults. This is a sleek Napoleon fainting couch that can double as a place to heal or isolate. With 9 kids, my mom would bundle us up and put us on the couch in the back bedroom in order for us not to give the bug to anybody else in the family. A living room couch can be a place to rest, relax, and take a nap. And a basement couch can be a place to escape. This is where my sons would go with their girlfriends to escape the parental eyeball that was constantly watching them. I do need to tell you that we found many excuses to go down. Brownies, anyone? The couch is a lot of things. A place to rest, heal, isolate, escape. And all of these pauses are really good in our digital frenetic society that we're here today for. And it's hard to do those things if you're the kind of person that has to be strapped down to rest. But that's a talk for another day. What I want to look at today is the couch as a metaphor for settling in and getting stuck. The couch is a picture of inertia. I've seen this in my own life. As a former college guidance advisor, I would work with students to help find out their future, and it was overwhelming for them to go through the college application process. So sometimes they just get stuck. And in my company, we work connecting talent and people and companies within companies. But sometimes people get stuck on their jobs and they don't even realize it. And then in my own life, when I was a senior here at UWM, I was hit by a car. I had to stop playing on the soccer team, drop some classes, took on debt. And when I graduated, I couldn't find a job to save my life. I would come home, plop on the couch, channel surf. I had what the medical pros call a disinclination to action, motion, or change. I became a couch potato with roots. Admit it. If you have never experienced this in your own life, maybe you thought of someone else in the Latin definition of inertia. Sloth, no skills, lazy. And some of you might be thinking right now, whew, I'm glad I'm not that guy. Or maybe what you're thinking is, come on, deadbeat, get off the couch. So how do we overcome the inertia of the couch potato grown roots syndrome? Newton's law, as it relates to inertia, says an object at rest will remain at rest, and an object in uniform motion will continue in that same motion unless acted on by an outside force or energy. So what does that look like? Well, let's go back to furniture. A chair is designed for a single person, but a couch, that's designed to be shared. It's a place where people sit beside one another and engage in conversation and get to know one another. In my own life, when I was a college guidance advisor, again, I was called upon to help people discover their future. But a lot of times a parent would come to me and say, my son or daughter's not doing anything. And I needed to sit across the table from that student and ask them, what's your GPA? Average. What are some of your extracurriculars? I have some. Well, where do you want to go to college? I don't know. Well, have you thought about a career that you want to do? I don't know. I'm stuck and it's all I see. Meanwhile, their parent or a very well-meaning teacher or even their own conscience is standing over them saying, come on, get out of the couch. Write about that time that you broke your leg. It's a vertical space. But the couch is a horizontal space to be shared. When I started, I was sitting in the middle of the couch, and it makes people uncomfortable because somebody else should be there with them. So I'll work with that college student. And instead of asking and checking off a list, I'll help them see their situation from the next cushion over, so it's not quite so overwhelming. Instead of asking about the list, I might ask, tell me what you did last Saturday. Oh, I don't know, I just sort of hung out with my neighbor. I can meander through that conversation and ask, well, tell me about your neighbor. Well, my neighbor and his wife, or this couple, they lived down the block from us. And when I was little, we used to walk around the block, and they'd invite us in, and we'd read stories together and have lemonade, and they'd tell us about the old days. And sometimes they let me play with their dog, Charlie. When I got older, they let me walk Charlie and paid me to do so. And then, well, some of the other neighbors saw that, and so they let me walk their dogs. My grandparents lived kind of far away, so they couldn't really come to my stuff at school. So this neighbor couple, they came to my school plays and concerts. And one time, they asked this guy to come. He played bagpipe at the block party, and it was pretty cool. Well, he got sick and she got sick. They both got cancer, so I would just go over and help them shovel snow, you know, their driveway and their sidewalk and stuff. And he died a couple months ago. So my mom made a meal, and she invited me to go with her, and I didn't really want to, but I did. So I went over, and we just sat and talked about the old days with her. I didn't know she was going to die that night. She wasn't even in the hospital. The guy who has this as his story is here. That meandering conversation didn't focus on the list. It focused on the person. And guess what we learned? That he had extracurriculars in the theater and concerts. That he had a job walking dogs. That he volunteered shoveling snow on the sidewalk. And that he had a really good start to an essay with the prompt, tell me about a hard day and how you got through it. That's a pretty good start to getting off the couch of inertia of college application. Some of us don't even know when we're stuck on the couch. Have you ever had a day where you're reading a really good book, or you're playing video games, or watching an awesome movie or two, and it isn't until you hear, Martha, come to dinner, or your roommate says, dude, you got to look at what's going on outside the window here, that you realize you just blew 4 hours on the couch? Sometimes people get stuck that way, and it just takes an invitation to get them off the couch. In my work, I have the privilege of working with a lot of professionals and new grads. A few years ago, I worked with a very talented young designer. She had just graduated from a prestigious university, but she couldn't find work because it was during that really awful recession. So she moved back home and worked on her portfolio and did a really fantastic job, but still couldn't find work. So her grandparents invited her to come visit them. Why not? So she went. Their activity on Friday night was to go serve food at the homeless shelter. They invited her to that. Why not? So while she's serving coffee at the homeless shelter, the person that's making the coffee in those big vats is the creative director of a major agency where she's now working. This isn't a one-off. This happens all the time. We hear these stories repeatedly in our job. So besides sharing the horizontal space, focusing on the person, and besides inviting someone off the couch, what's another way that we can help people out of the inertia of the couch? Let's go back to furniture. The popliteal height from the base of the knee to the floor in the average chair is 16 to 22 inches. But in the average US couch, it's 15 to 19 inches. The buttock popliteal is from the rear to the back of the knee. And in the average US chair, it's 15 inches to 18 inches. But in the average US couch, it's 19 inches to 32 inches. Couches are designed with a lower center of gravity. They're designed to get stuck in. It's why my somewhat overweight, older mother-in-law needs a little rocking motion to get out. A little help here. People are really well-meaning when they try and help others out of the inertia of the couch. But sometimes it feels like judgment or control. It's a push instead of a pull. Dwight D. Eisenhower has a quote, and he says, "Push a string and it won't go nowhere at all. But pull a string and it will go where you wish." When I graduated from UWM, where I started this talk, I couldn't find a job. And my very well-meaning mother would try to help me, but she was so frustrated too. She would say, go apply at the temporary help agency. I have a friend there. She'll help you get work. Or go on, ask your dad. You can work there until you find something better. But I didn't want to sponge off of him. It was a very good friend that drew me out of the cushions. He asked me about the passions that I had in life, and that included the arts, particularly the performing arts. So he asked me if I would help his sister, who worked at the City Ballet in marketing, to just assist her in some of the things that she was doing. He pulled me out by connecting the skills that I had with a passion that I had. It was great. And I got a job 6 months later in marketing. So one way to get people out of the inertia of the couch is to sit beside them and share the space and have a conversation and listen to who the person is and what their passions are. A second way is to just invite them off the couch to do something else. And a third way is to identify those passions and maybe connect them using their skills in a non-threatening way. An object at rest will remain at rest, and an object in uniform motion will remain in that same motion unless acted on by an outside force. So let me ask you this. How's your view from the couch?